interviews with business owners and veteran executives who share their wisdom and expertise to help you de-stress, free up time, and make more money. Profits of IT. Welcome back to the Profits of IT. I am Jim Punzenberger, your host and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System, looking to generate new clients or partners. Be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com. I got Mark joining me from sunny Arizona.
Mark Kreitzman, and I've got a career that's around 30 years now. I've got 10 years with a mobile operator and about 20 years focused really on cybersecurity. And even during the years of cybersecurity, I did a lot of work with carriers like AT&T and T-Mobile and Sprint and Orange and others. And so lately, in the last 5-6 years, really became hyper focused on mobile security, and that's what 𝐓𝐻𝐼 is involved in. And so, thanks for the invite, Jim. And love to talk about 𝐓𝐻𝐼, and happy to talk about how I got here. And so, if you want to lead the way. So 𝐓𝐻𝐼 keeps me so busy with our growth, and it's kind of crazy. The demands. It's a great problem to have, and we're expanding. In fact, we just hired 2 people as of this morning. So we just sent out 2 more offers, and they've been accepted. So we've hired like 4 people in the last 60 days. And for a small startup, great position to be in.
Wow.
So I don't have much time outside of that, but I played golf in college, and so I still like to compete on the weekends and play at the country club
on the golf course.
With yeah, small money, but I enjoy that. It's one thing that takes my mind off of work, and you need that kind of break. And then and then sort of my side, if I had a side hustle, if I were to call it that, I started investing in real estate and condos in Asia, starting in around 2003, and run an Airbnb rental business. Just 4 units over there, and that's sort of my escape plan, is to end my career by spending the majority of my time over there and renting out to other people who want to escape from wherever they're from.
Cool. I was just trying to be lighthearted about the side hustle golfing. Just want to make that clear. Not that not that I was being serious about that. Anyways, so moving back to business, I guess it sounds like business is your life for the most part, other than those hobbies. And so I guess the question is, what do you contribute your success to? How can others learn from that? Or what might you consider to be your superpower in business? And I know that's a long question. And
so
a long period of time into a few short minutes here, but love to hear your answer.
Yeah, no, I like the question, and it's not just a sort of a one answer thing. So I'll give you 2 or 3 layers to my answer here. So so for me personally, like the one thing that has made me successful is, and it's not something I can really you can really teach to others. But I'm good at picking winners. And so in around the year 1999, 2000, I watched the whole .com bubble explode. I had people that I knew that, became millionaires on paper, and then couldn't even get their bartender's job back, after the implosion of the whole .com industry. And I waited about 2 or 3 years, and then I wanted to dive in, and it had all been cleaned up. And so the one thing that I've proven to myself and to others, if you look at my track record, is I've worked for 5 different tech startups. Out of the 5, one got bought by Microsoft. The second one was bought by Cisco Systems. The third one was a failure in terms of me being a match with the company, but at least I picked a winner. They eventually got acquired by Cisco Systems as well. And then there's one startup where they're yet to be acquired. They still are trying to make their way, but I wanted to try something new. And I joined, and 𝐓𝐻𝐼 is the 5th startup. And Funny was started by a one-man guy who got mobile hacked. And then I got mobile hacked. I searched him out and I said, somebody's got to solve this problem. And we connected, and good relationship. And then I just, one day I was like, called him up and said, I think this is a winner. And it's just two of us, and I want to be part of it. And so now Funny's been around for 3 years. We're now profitable, 7-figure annual revenues. We're now preparing for this hockey stick growth that we expect in a couple months, and that's why we're hiring right now, is to gear up for that. So picking winners is, for whatever reason, maybe it's just having technical chops and be able to kind of understand where the hacks and vulnerabilities are coming from, in the future, sort of like what Wayne Gretzky used to say, like you skate to where the puck's going, not where it is. And but in terms of like the other layer, and also where if I were to go back in time, what I wish I had done from the very beginning is that the other thing that's made it possible to do these startups is the networking. And prior to joining like the first startup, that's kind of when I started networking. I was already like almost halfway through my career. And so when I came out of graduate school, I was a super tech. I was like a coder. I didn't care about, like, I went to party and do all that, but I would go to work, write code, and leave. And so I had a 10-year period where, I really don't talk to anybody from that 10-year period. But when I started joining the startup, so when you're at a startup and you're doing well, even before they get acquired, like, you want to start networking and kind of setting up 2-3 years in advance. And so that networking helps you get to the next startup. And then you get to a point where you don't really need a resume anymore. Like, people see, like, okay, you've worked for 3 or 4 different sets of founders, and so long term, that's going to pay off. But if I had to go back, I would have started when I was like 18, 19, 20 years old and start networking. And the other thing that and this is what I've started to do recently, is that with social media, YouTube channels, like, if you're like a young person in IT, like, you want to do self-promotion. So a lot of people will have like their IG or their, if they do anything on Twitter, and their IG is about, some party they went, vacation, they went to Mexico. But if I had to do it all over again, I would start, as these social media companies came out, and start building more of a professional profile. And I actually just started my own YouTube channel for fun about Hua Hin, Thailand, and things to do there as sort of preparation for like 8-9 years from now, for when I potentially want to retire there. And just doing it for fun. But if I had to go back in time, like, I would have started a YouTube channel on cybersecurity, promoted myself. I recommend that, if you're really young in IT, or really any industry, is look for a mentor. So I've heard of people going on YouTube and just emailing, messaging somebody and saying, hey, you're where I want to be in 20 years. And you have to be young to be able to get somebody to say, like, okay, yeah, like, let's do an intro call. Like, now I can't do that with somebody, because it'd be kind of creepy if they're the same, around the same age as me.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want to be my mentor. But so if like you're young in a career, like, that's all part of the networking. And then you also just, every time there's like a local event or an event you can drive to in a couple hours that you can attend, that is part of your industry, that's, related to, like, for me, I'm in cybersecurity. So there's cybersecurity events in Phoenix, for example, or in Tucson. I can just drive to them and attend. And I've actually attended the RSA security show in San Francisco a couple of years ago. And this was when I was trying to do my own startup, and I was trying to conserve money, and I didn't want to pay, $1,200 to get in the door. So I just hung around outside and talked to people, had coffee with people, tried to meet people. And so, you want to use your time and every chance you can get to, network.
Cool.
Yeah.
I guess question for you, circling back to the picking winners, any tips on how to get better at picking winners? So I guess hiring employees that are winners, any tips on identifying these people?
So in terms of like trying to pick a company, I mean, there's like, if I were to do something like, because I'm in, tech and cybersecurity, so there's like venture capital companies that invest in all these. And so you can look on their website and they'll list like a portfolio of like 10, 20, 30 companies and see if something, just really interests you. And then you can look and see if they've raised money recently, because that's really the best time. Like if you see like a PR that says company XYZ, raised $7 million in a Series A round. Yeah. Yeah. That's like, and before they do that, you really want to try and network too. And maybe even, that would be like the great place for like mentoring. You see somebody like me, like if somebody emailed me and said, "Hey, I met you like 2 years ago, and I see you're at 𝐓𝐻𝐻𝐷 now, and I like what you guys are doing." Like that's a good way to kind of intro yourself and not try and make a super quick decision, and just see like, is what this startup doing, is it relevant, and do you see a future? Is it part of your mission too? Because you want to have kind of a mission. And that's kind of the one quote I took from Elon Musk when they asked him about what would he recommend young people to do, and that is as early as possible to have a mission. So that would be another thing I would sort of change if I were to go back in time, is because at one point I was obviously like, my career is cybersecurity, and if I thought of it more as a mission, then I would have cared less about that my new boss, I don't like him, or the company I'm working for is like gone in a different direction. And it would be more about like, look, my mission is cybersecurity, to build companies, and if you're networking, you just don't have to have those same kind of worries when like executives change in or out, or things happen. In terms of recognizing employees, things have changed a lot. Like if you go back 10 years ago, it'd be like, what degree do you have? Now at 𝐓𝐻𝐻𝐷, like it's like trust, no criminal record. Like what we do, we have to have high trust, and customers have to have high trust in us. Are you motivated? Are you on a mission to build a company? Do you personally align with this? And have you dealt with adversarial situations? Like if we were going to hire somebody for like customer support, for example, it might even be better to have somebody who is working the counter at, and I'm not saying that we would hire somebody from McDonald's, but somebody that works the counter at McDonald's and deals with like angry customers. You sort of build up a wall. You kind of learn how to deal with people, and that's an important skill to have at these startups. And so that's why a lot of startups don't go hire somebody that's worked like at AT&T for 15 years and say, "Hey, we're going to put you in front of customers, in this sort of customer service, customer success type role," because you may not be used to the kind of things that can happen from your customer base as a startup.
Got it. Any final thoughts?
No, I mean, I just, I always like talking about this stuff, and if somebody wanted to reach out to me, then, go into you can find me on LinkedIn and see my history there. And everybody's welcome to, send me a message, and, super busy, it takes me to reply. Sometimes you might have to message me 2 or 3 times. And then if somebody's interested, in getting secure mobile service, then, contact 𝐓𝐻𝐻𝐷 at 𝐓𝐻𝐻𝐷.com.
𝐓𝐻𝐻𝐷.com.
Yep.
And how is that spelled?
It's �EFANI.com.
�EFANI.com.
Yep.
Well, Mark, thank you for your time here today and sharing your wisdom and expertise from your career. I guess.
All right. Thank you.
It's been 30 years of knowledge in 10 minutes here.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you.
Thanks a lot,
and
Jim.
Until next time on the Prophets of IT, I am Jim Punzenberger, your host and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. Can generate new clients or partners without cold calling, ad spend, or spamming? Be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com. Thank you for tuning in to the Prophets of IT. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and share.